The Israelites desired a king. They wanted to be like other nations. The prophet Samuel anointed Saul, a tall and impressive Benjamite, as the first king of Israel. Saul was 30 years old when he ascended to the throne. His reign began with a series of military victories. He successfully defended Jabesh-Gilead from the Ammonites, uniting the tribes and solidifying his position. His early reign was marked by promise and the hope for a secure and prosperous Israel. Saul's initial campaigns demonstrated his military acumen and charisma. He led the Israelites to victory over the Philistines, Moabites, and Amalekites. These victories instilled confidence in his leadership and forged a strong sense of national identity among the tribes. This period of success, however, proved to be a double-edged sword. It fostered a sense of self-reliance in Saul, leading him to stray from his dependence on God. His early victories were not solely due to his tactical brilliance. God's favor was evident, granting Saul and his army strength and guidance. This divine support, however, was conditional on Saul's obedience to God's commands, a condition that would soon be put to the test. The stage was set for a dramatic fall from grace, demonstrating that even the most promising beginnings can be undone by pride and disobedience. The early victories were crucial in establishing Saul's authority and uniting the tribes. However, they also sowed the seeds of his downfall. The successes inflated his ego, leading him to believe that his own strength and wisdom were sufficient. This growing sense of self-reliance would ultimately lead to his tragic end. The Philistines, a constant threat to the Israelites, were a formidable enemy. They possessed superior weaponry and a well-trained army, equipped with iron chariots and skilled warriors. The Philistines' military strength posed a significant challenge to the newly formed Israelite kingdom. They occupied strategic locations, controlled vital trade routes, and constantly sought to expand their territory at the expense of the Israelites. Saul recognized the Philistine threat and employed various strategies to counter them. He assembled a standing army, breaking from the traditional Israelite reliance on militia forces. He also established strategic outposts to monitor Philistine movements and provide early warning of attacks. Saul's efforts, however, were often reactive, responding to Philistine aggression rather than taking a proactive approach to permanently subdue them. Despite Saul's efforts, the Philistines remained a powerful adversary. Their superior technology and strategic positioning gave them a significant advantage in battle. They were a persistent threat, constantly testing the limits of Saul's leadership and the resilience of the Israelite army. The ongoing conflict with the Philistines became a defining aspect of Saul's reign, shaping his decisions and ultimately contributing to his downfall. The Philistine threat was a constant source of anxiety for Saul and the Israelites. They represented a powerful and ever-present danger, capable of undermining the hard-won unity and security of the newly established kingdom. The ongoing conflict with the Philistines served as a crucible, testing not only Saul's military capabilities but also his faith and obedience to God. As the Philistine threat loomed, Saul faced a critical test of his faith and obedience. The prophet Samuel instructed Saul to wait at Gilgal for him to arrive and offer sacrifices to God before engaging the Philistines. Samuel's instructions were clear. Saul was to wait 7 days for his arrival. This command was not merely a matter of religious ritual, it was a test of Saul's willingness to submit his will to God's authority. However, as the days passed and the Philistine army drew closer, Saul grew impatient and afraid. Fearful of the approaching enemy and pressured by his restless troops, Saul decided to offer the burnt offering himself, thereby directly disobeying Samuel's command. This act of disobedience had far-reaching consequences, marking a turning point in Saul's reign. Saul's decision to usurp Samuel's priestly role was a grave error. It demonstrated a lack of faith in God's timing and a disregard for the divinely established order. By taking matters into his own hands, Saul demonstrated that he believed his own judgment to be superior to God's command. This act of defiance marked the beginning of his downfall, setting in motion a chain of events that would ultimately lead to his demise. This event at Gilgal was a pivotal moment in Saul's reign. It revealed a fatal flaw in his character, a tendency towards self-reliance and a willingness to disregard God's commands when they conflicted with his own desires or perceived needs. This act of disobedience had profound consequences, leading to the withdrawal of God's favor and ultimately paving the way for his tragic end. Jonathan, Saul's son, was a man of exceptional courage and military prowess. He possessed a deep faith in God and a willingness to confront danger head-on. In a daring raid, Jonathan, accompanied by only his armor-bearer, launched a surprise attack on a Philistine outpost. This act of bravery, driven by faith and a desire to defend his people, ignited a spark of hope and courage within the Israelite army. Jonathan's actions, though seemingly reckless, were guided by a deep trust in God. He believed that victory was possible, even against overwhelming odds if it was God's will. His faith and courage had a contagious effect, inspiring the disheartened Israelite army to rally and join the fight against the Philistines. Jonathan's victory at the Philistine outpost was a turning point in the battle. It demonstrated that the Philistines were not invincible, and that victory was possible even with limited resources. His courage ignited a fire in the hearts of the Israelite soldiers, reminding them of their own strength and the power of their God. Jonathan's bravery stood in stark contrast to his father's fear and disobedience. While Saul allowed fear to drive him to disobey God's command, Jonathan's faith empowered him to act boldly and decisively. His actions serve as a testament to the power of faith and the courage that can be found in trusting God, even in the face of overwhelming odds. In the heat of battle, Saul made another fateful decision that would have tragic consequences. He made a rash and ill-advised oath, forbidding his troops from eating anything until evening. His intention was to ensure that the Israelite army maintained its pursuit of the fleeing Philistines. However, this oath, made without considering its potential consequences, ultimately proved detrimental to his own army. The Israelite soldiers, exhausted from the battle and weakened by hunger, were unable to pursue the enemy effectively. Saul's oath, intended to ensure victory, ironically hindered their ability to capitalize on their advantage. This event highlights the danger of impulsive actions and the importance of considering the potential ramifications of our decisions, especially in leadership positions. Jonathan, unaware of his father's oath, ate some honey during the pursuit. When informed of the oath, Jonathan's response revealed the folly of Saul's decision. He pointed out that the army's strength was severely depleted due to hunger, highlighting the unintended negative consequences of Saul's rash oath. Saul's oath and its consequences underscore the importance of wisdom and foresight in leadership. His actions, though well-intentioned, ultimately harmed his own people. This event serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of making decisions without fully considering their potential impact. Saul's disobedience at Gilgal marked a turning point in his reign. From that point onward, his leadership was characterized by a slow and tragic decline. He became increasingly paranoid, jealous of David's growing popularity and military success. The once promising king, chosen by God to lead his people, was consumed by fear and insecurity, leading him down a path of destruction. Driven by jealousy, Saul made several attempts on David's life, even turning against his own son Jonathan, who remained loyal to his friend. He consulted a medium, seeking guidance from the dead, a practice strictly forbidden by God. This act demonstrated his desperation and his willingness to disregard God's commands in his pursuit of security and control. Saul's actions had a devastating impact on his family and the kingdom. His paranoia and jealousy created an atmosphere of fear and suspicion, dividing the kingdom and undermining his authority. His pursuit of David, driven by envy and fear, consumed him, leading to further acts of disobedience and violence. Saul's decline is a tragic example of how fear, jealousy, and disobedience can corrupt even the most promising individuals. His story serves as a warning to all leaders, reminding us that true leadership requires humility, integrity, and an unwavering commitment to following God's guidance, even when it is difficult. Saul's life, from his promising beginnings to his tragic end, offers profound lessons about leadership, obedience, and the consequences of disobedience. His story reminds us that true leadership is not about personal ambition or the pursuit of power, but about humble submission to God's will and a selfless commitment to serving others. Saul's initial successes were a result of God's favor and empowerment. However, his failure to remain obedient to God's commands ultimately led to his downfall. His story highlights the crucial truth that true success and lasting victory are found in aligning our lives with God's will, not in pursuing our own agendas. Saul's downfall was not a single event but a gradual process fueled by pride, jealousy, and a growing disregard for God's commands. His story serves as a cautionary tale, reminding us that even small acts of disobedience can have far-reaching consequences, leading us down a dangerous path away from God's blessing and protection. The story of Saul challenges us to examine our own hearts and motivations. Are we leading with humility and integrity, seeking God's guidance in all that we do? Or are we allowing pride, ambition, or fear to dictate our choices? Saul's life serves as a powerful reminder that true success and lasting legacy are found in following God's path, even when it is difficult, for it is in obedience that we discover true freedom and fulfillment.